So IATSE, the union, and I'll explain what that is in a moment for those of you who don't know. IATSE has reached a tentative agreement with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, or the AMPTP. They've reached a tentative agreement on a 3-year contract. So this is going to cover 13 West Coast locals, which represents about 50,000 union members. The terms of this tentative deal are going to be for a wage increase, so 7% in the first year, 4% in the second year, and 3.5% in the third year. Another term is there's going to be additional penalties for long work days, in addition to tripled hourly wages when a workday exceeds 15 hours, which can happen in the film industry. There are some protections against AI, which includes, quote, language that ensures no employee is required to provide AI prompts in any manner that would result in the displacement of any covered employee, end quote. And then also looking towards streaming residuals. And those residuals will provide about $670 million to help fund the union's health and pension plans. So if you don't know, so IATSE is an acronym standing for the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. So based off the title, you can probably guess it started as a theater-based union for like the crew. But now it also covers, what's called below the line crew members on film production. So below the line, it's kind of derogatory. We really should get rid of it, but the idea is that there's like a certain line on a call sheet for a film production, like a big, thick black line, and everyone above the line are like all like the quote unquote important people, like the main producers and the director and like the DP and the actors. And then everyone below the line are like the grips and the electricians and the caterers and the basically everything else. So they're part of this union, and I've been hearing about these negotiations for quite some time, and I've been avoiding talking about it on this show just because it seemed like I wasn't sure where it was going to go. And this seems to be, assuming it gets ratified by the union members, seems to be where it was all culminating. Because the lead up is, we're still feeling the fallout from the previous dual strikes from last year, right? In both sides of this negotiation, we're really feeling the pain, right? Because many of these workers, these below-the-line workers, they were not on strike. But because production was shut down, they weren't getting any work, right? And obviously it was a struggle for those who were actually on strike. But at least those people had a lot of public attention, and they had like a strike fund to dip into. These workers were just out of a job, right? So they definitely wanted to find a solution where production could get up and running, and so we could avert a strike, another strike. And then on the other side, those studios were also still reeling from the film shortage due to the strikes. We have a year of films that, we just had Inside Out 2 cross $1 billion, the first film of the year to do so, right? There have been some big movies, but a lot of movies had to get pushed back or retooled or sometimes canceled. So, the studios are definitely don't want there to be another shutdown and another pause. They want to just get stuff. They just need to put stuff in the theaters, right? But this was not necessarily going to be a slam dunk because of all that, right? Because, they began negotiations like early March. So it's taken about 4 months to iron out some of these details. Now that the deal is more or less in place, now it just needs to be ratified. I think it's just a huge sigh of relief for both sides, right? Because again, everyone needs to get back to work. Variety notes that, many of the union members, they're cautiously optimistic. I think they were excited after the last couple strikes ended, and then they realized like production didn't come back as quickly as they had hoped. So I think they're tentatively, hesitantly happy and hopeful, but only time will tell to see. Because as I think I've talked about in this show before, film productions in LA have decreased, and not just because of the strikes, just because it's getting expensive and productions are going elsewhere around the country, around the globe, But that being said, though, there was the labor unions did have some leverage here because of the successes of the other strikes. I think there was a sense of like we shouldn't settle. So I'm really happy to see that they basically have gotten, if not everything they wanted, they at least have gotten something towards everything that they've wanted.